Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis. And today we are going to be talking about Hedera and Hbar. So with that being said, let's just dive on in and let's start off with DeFi on Hedera. So obviously DeFi on Hedera is a game changer, as it is with any other major token that is extremely efficient versus Ethereum. DeFi is a huge area of opportunity for any network and for any token in the space because it could truly open a ton of doors, and it could also ignite massive amounts of volumes pouring in on some of these networks, which ultimately reflects the value of the token as well. In a recent video, when I talked about Hedera and I was talking about some of the growth rates, I was also addressing DeFi on Hedera. If we actually go back in time, to roughly the beginning of this year, DeFi on Hedera was blowing up almost to $150 million or $160 million worth of TVL. Very significant. And now we are starting to see the number one platform on Hedera for DeFi, SAA Swap, launching V2. The testnet beta is now live, and in the coming weeks, we will most likely see this launch fully. But I do think that this is going to be a game changer. Like I've said, SAA Swap has become a leader and a pioneer behind DeFi on Hedera. Initially, it was Stater, and then from Stater, we started to see other ones launching. SAA Swap launched around roughly August of 2022, and in well over a year, they have become the leader behind Hedera. If we actually go over to the website right now, so this is just V1. This is what V1 looks like in terms of the liquidity platform. And then this is what V2 is going to look like. This is very clean, very nice. I actually love the overall design behind SAA Swap. Like I said, the entire platform looks very interesting. You can actually look at everything regarding this. Again, V1, V2. Here's staking as well. Now staking, I'm pretty sure this looks very similar, yeah. So mainly the thing that is changing is swap and liquidity in terms of not only just like the UI, but I also think that a few other changes are coming to the platform as well. And I also think that they're going to be adding a few other things as well, which we kind of got a little bit of an insight on. I'm not going to mention too much. But SAA Swap looks solid. I've always been talking about the UI and the design behind it. This is basically what you want every single major DeFi platform to look like. Some of the stuff, if you actually look at, like, for example, the swapping mechanism on V1, this is kind of like a fork from Uniswap, but it's designed completely different, and the UI is far greater than Uniswap or any other decentralized exchange within the space. But like I said, SAA Swap has been a game changer for Hedera and for all those Hbar variants out there that have been tapping in to DeFi. And I do think that with V2 launching, I think that this is going to be a game changer. And why is this? Well, shout out to Hbar to the moon. He actually put out a full illustration with, of course, Dan Reed's Finance. He's basically quoting this and he's posting the design. And he says, "Today is the day. Get ready for SAA Swap Labs V2 beta launch very soon on Hedera testnet. Make sure to participate and stress test new smart contracts. V2 is DeFi on steroids," and it really is. And here we have the illustration by Dan Reed's Finance. And here you guys have some statistics. So let me zoom in. Let's open it up in a new tab. So here we have SAA Swap V2. SAA Swap is launching a concentrated liquidity market maker market marker, SLM protocol based on Uniswap V3. So here we have plus 530% LP yield, returns a 15.64% average real yield APR versus the 2.47% average APR currently offered by SAA Swap V1. 60% emission cut. The revised tokenomics will see a 60% cut to the inflation rate of newly minted SAA tokens, and a 4,000 times capital efficiency. Capital efficiency allows for trades to be executed with greatly reduced price impact in comparison to both centralized exchanges and stablecoin focused AMMs. And of course, 50% plus staking yield. A single-sided staking yield is derived from three distinct sources: swap fees, SAA emissions, and Hbar native staking rewards. V2 tweaks these mechanisms to increase capital efficiency, which will translate into a 50% increase in buybacks and single-sided or sides staking APR. So again, this is huge, and we even do see built on Hedera. SAA Swap is the pioneering decentralized exchange built on Hedera. It leverages the HSCS, the Hedera Smart Contract Service, to include Solidity Smart Contract integration with the HTS, the Hedera Token Service. So again, big changes happening around DeFi on Hedera. This is going to be a big move, and it's something that's very significant. Now, outside of DeFi and outside of the decentralized exchange talk and things like that, let's talk a little bit about tokenization. Yes, I know that I recently just did a full video on this, but it seems as though the ecosystem players are also opening their doors for tokenization to become fully realized in on Hedera. And we do see the world of finances evolving with real-world asset tokenization leading the charge. Our latest blog delves into how this innovative approach is redefining asset ownership and opening new investment avenues. From art to real estate, the potential is limitless. Discover how Blade Labs is championing a more inclusive and transparent financial future. Now, I did look into this. It's pretty significant. Listen. At the end of the day, as we look at some of these ecosystem players like Blade Labs, if you are an HBAR holder, if you have been following Hedera for a while, I do think everyone should look to actually support some of the ecosystem players as well, because these could reflect the value of HBAR as well in the future. Because again, this is the ecosystem behind Hedera. This is what Hedera is truly all about, is the communities and the projects and things like that that are actually building out on it. But here is the promise of real world asset tokenization. I could zoom in a little bit on this so that you guys could actually see it. Now, they do fully break this down. They also do talk about the convergence of blockchain technology, decentralized finance, and a growing appetite for alternative investments have demonstrated that the conventional barriers surrounding real world assets can be easily breached. Whether it's a piece of prime real estate in bustling metropolis, a masterpiece painting by a renowned artist, or a share in a privately held company, real-world assets have historically been the domain of the privileged few, inaccessible to the majority of investors. However, blockchain has now fully broken those barriers. And again, a lot of these players want to be at the forefront of this massive transformation, because over the course of the next couple of years, we could very well see trillions of dollars flooding into the space. We even see here, with such innovative solutions, the infrastructure and future of tokenization of real-world assets looks promising. As a matter of fact, Wall Street's premier research firm, Bernstein, has reportedly estimated a colossal $5 trillion opportunity within the next 5 years alone, driven by stablecoins, central bank digital currencies, private market funds, securities, and real estate. The report added that about 2% of global money supply, which is approximately about $3 trillion, will be tokenized over the next 5 years. In another report, Boston Consulting Group, which everyone is well aware, right? They conservatively estimated that the total amount of tokenized illiquid assets could reach about $16.1 trillion by 2030. Remember, this is a conservative prediction. So could you imagine how much money could actually be out there that will be tokenized, and the value of some of these assets that could be very well tokenized as well? Very significant. So as we look at that, right, these players that are also helping this vision become a real reality on Hedera, it's going to be exciting, right? Like, these are the players that you want to watch for. And Blade Labs has been really killing it with their overall app, but also they've been killing it with integrations within this entire space. They've been working with some very prominent names around the Hedera ecosystem, which I'm sure that you guys are all aware of. Karate Combat, for an example, is one of them. But I look forward to seeing a lot more engagement from the community players that could also build out some very significant things and solutions regarding tokenization as a service. But also outside of this, we also seen Hedera put out this report with Quarter. So Quarter, the US's first fractional equity home funding program and platform, has announced the equity tokenization of a $740,000 home, with third-party investors supplying 97% of the purchase capital as alternative financing to mortgage credit using Toko. So, like I said, this goes back to June 1st. And the reason why I'm bringing this back up is simply because tokenization within a lot of these players, these are ecosystem players. Toko is an ecosystem player that is a very large player. This was back in June. The reason why I'm bringing this back up now is because we just talked a little bit about real estate and how big of an opportunity real estate is in terms of tokenization. Over the course of the next couple of years, specifically the next roughly 1 to 2 years, we are going to start to see tokenization take the forefront around adoption, and it's also going to be essentially a path towards mass adoption. Once we start to see tokenization really start up, and I just said this in an XRP video, this is going to ignite a massive trend, and it's going to grow astronomically. You are going to be surprised on how fast tokenization takes over in terms of the traditional world of finance. This is one thing that I want to know, and this is one player that I think everyone needs to pay attention to, which is Toko, because they have recently talked a little bit more about what their full goal is. But also back in September, I did talk about how they were launching Dubai's first tokenized equity crowd funding platform. Again, they are transforming a lot of these areas of interest through tokenization on Hedera. This is a player that you must be following and must be watching because they truly are reinventing the wheel here. And I still think that Hedera could grasp a large percentage of the tokenization market because of how efficient they are in terms of tokenization as a service. But also outside of this, I do also want to talk a little bit about CBDCs and IDEMIA. So shout out to Hbar to the moon, massive. Hedera's governing council members and CBDC payment partner IDEMIA Group are involved with Project Polaris developed by the BIS. There is no chance Hedera is not used here. Best technology for CBDC and any other payment applications. And shout out to Rakesh over on Twitter, Patney_C. And here we have the BIS document. You see Hbar Hedera is not mentioned, but there are 3 governing council members. Now, again, we don't actually have confirmation that Hedera is being utilized or tapped in with this, but we do have the solution vendor participants for the deep dive exercise. FIS Global, which is a GC, Google, GC, IBM, GC, and IDEMIA. And here we have down here, Google presented Google Pay to BIS and central banks as a solution for offline CBDC as well. This is a great find. This is an incredible find, but again, it doesn't pinpoint to Hedera being tapped in or anything like that, which we do see Rakesh saying, like it doesn't say Hedera or anything like that. But we know that IDEMIA has already been testing a lot of pilot offline CBDC projects, even with the Reserve Bank of India, and they also utilize Hedera. So I wouldn't be surprised if Project Polaris did utilize Hedera. And again, IDEMIA needs to be looked at just like Toko, just like Blade Wallet, just like any other ecosystem player, because IDEMIA is actually a very large player. We actually made a video regarding this and how many players are actually tied to IDEMIA. They are truly changing the world through crypto and even blockchain technology. We even see here the leader in identity technologies. We build future-proof solutions that secure billions of frictionless interactions in the physical and digital worlds. And we've already talked about them in the past, like I said. They are one of the biggest players regarding the enterprise sector. I think that they were tied to like over 2,300 enterprises down here. So they were tied to 2,300 plus enterprise customers across the globe and 600 plus governments, and they secure billions of essential interactions for payments, connectivity, access control, identity, travel, and public security every year. So if we do see Hedera being utilized here, it's going to be very interesting. But I do think that IDEMIA is a major leader, and I also think that Hedera could very well be exposed with IDEMIA with some of these other players because they are all GC members. So definitely stay tuned to see a little bit more of an in-depth view on Polaris eventually, because they do put out some more information regarding what platforms they are using, or maybe they give us a few hints. Sometimes you kind of just have to connect the dots when it comes to the BIS, unless they actually put out like a full report on what they are doing. But I do think that Hedera could be exposed here. Again, is there no chance that Hedera is not used here? It's questionable, but I still think that we need a little bit more confirmation on if Hedera is tapped in. But last but not least, I do want to talk a little bit about this, because as we do talk about CBDCs, we also have to address the fact that outside of CBDCs, guess who is the most fit for microtransactions and scalable transactions? Hedera. Shout out to Barbarian for this. He's actually quoting Genfinity, but you see Web3 technology enables extremely cost-effective payment platforms to be built. DropCC micropayment platform is built on the highly efficient and scalable Hedera Hbar distributed network. Drop was recently included in the FedNow service provider showcase. Full interview below. Now this is a clip from this. We actually see down here that most credit companies equal 3.5 thousand, so 3,500 real transactions per second. Hedera is already at 10,000 TPS. Check this out.
Instant payment itself is great, and we'll have that. That's going to be fantastic. But what happens is because of these rails and because of Web3 technology and because of distributed ledger technologies, you can offer an extremely cost-effective payment platform. When you do that, basically you've lowered the barrier, you've lowered the transaction cost. When you do that, you can now offer micropayments, which is what the focus is of Drop. So right now, if you want to make a transaction for $1, you end up paying anything from 40 to 53 cents to the credit card provider or to the paywall, right? And that's how it is. That's how the economics work. What does that mean? That means anyone who's offering any product under $10, it's going to be expensive. right? So we really believe, and that was your question, is we really believe that micropayment solutions, cost-effective micropayment solutions, can really open up the digital market. Instant.
And there you guys have it. And of course, this is from Drop. With the FedNow service, with things like that, again, Hedera is positioned to become a dominant leader. Even with CBDCs, I still think that Hedera is tapped in on a lot of CBDC endeavors. And I do think that Hedera has become a pioneer around financial technology simply because of the efficiencies tied to Hedera. And again, the future is extremely bright here because outside of just CBDCs, outside of all of that, we know that they are heavily dominant within the tokenization space. Beyond that, they are very dominant within the Web3 space. They have been pioneering adoption endeavors in areas like India, for an example, which are embracing blockchain and Web3 fully. Outside of this, DeFi on Hedera is becoming the real deal, and I think that everyone needs to start focusing heavily on DeFi on Hedera, and then also even NFTs. NFTs are not dead. I know that everyone says that NFTs are dead, but I actually think that NFTs are going to make a big comeback once we start to see retail flooding back in, and I do think that Hedera is going to be a leader around NFTs eventually as well, because listen, it just makes sense. It's the most efficient network out there for a lot of these huge use cases like, NFTs, tokenization, DeFi, things like that, even payment technology. It's truly revolutionary technology. But outside of all of that, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, this has been Nick. Peace out.